everyone, and welcome back to another Sims 4 speed build video. And today I'm doing that medieval village that I said literally, I think it was either yesterday's video or the day before that I said I was gonna do, and I actually did it like back to back. Okay, if you're a new viewer, you're probably really confused on why I'm so excited about this. Normally when I promise I'm gonna do something, I do it, but it's normally like a month later or like actual like weeks later or days later. It's never actually within like this set like back to back as I was within with this video. Actually I think I did say this within my celebrity home one, not my luxury apartment, but that doesn't matter. What matters is I did it. And I'm really happy I did it. It turned out so well, and I'm really happy that I stuck through with it, because I've said this before. If there's any builders out there, when you are building something, it is a trust the process type of activity. Like, you have to kind of follow through and just keep going, and then hopefully hope that it turns out right. A problem I had before ages ago, not ages ago, is literally within this video, but what I had most, I used to do it a lot more, was when I made the shell, because the shell is always the hardest part, because I love doing exteriors when it comes to building houses and building lots within the Sims. But I like doing exteriors when it comes to like putting the wallpapers, putting the windows, putting the doors, putting all the landscaping and like that aspect. Making the shell is awful, and doing the interior is even more awful to me. But to add all of the nice looking woods and the windows and everything like that, I love it. I enjoyed it. It's literally my niche. I think I was gonna say, if there's like an exterior version of an interior designer, I don't think it's exterior designer thing, because I'm not thinking of architects. Who's an architect, they would invade the house. I'm just like, flourishing the outside of the house. Like, you give me a square, not a square, that's not a 3D object. You give me a cube, I'll make the cube pretty on the outside. On the inside, I'll do like the wallpaper. It's very blocked and roofing, so I can give myself encouragement to continue doing it. And it's the same with wallpaper. I don't need to add this wallpaper now. I can add it later, but I need to add it now to give myself a sense of encouragement to continue what I do. Does it suck when it ends up being like a really messy floor plan? Yes, it does. But does it give me courage to keep going? Yeah, it does. So I don't even know what I was talking about. How did I even get into this point? I think I was talking about how I do not trust myself as a builder. Like, I trust myself to an extent, but not as much. But I'm just saying, shells just look terrible. And if you think your shell looks terrible, it probably does look terrible. As long as it's not like, zigzaggy. Like, there's generally no way you can like potentially put rooms in this. I promise you, it looks terrible, but it's probably going to look better. Just keep faith that it's going to turn out okay. I did that with this build because it doesn't show it, but there was a moment where I was going to pause and I was going to be like, yeah, I'm going to demolish it and start again. But then I realized I do not have the mental effort to do that. So let's just hope for the best. And it turned out as one of my best builds I have ever done. Yeah, so we've been making this. I think I had more struggle when it came to trusting the process of my previous build, the luxury apartment. That one was because I wanted to be a little bit experimental with the floor plans and the shape of the building, because I've done quite a few multi-household residentials. Like, I think someone said before, way back in like November, I'm really like multi-residential lots are my thing, because they are my thing. I just love creating them. They're so much fun to do, and you've got worlds to explore when it comes to them. So I'm a big fan of doing them. And I told myself I was gonna calm down. I think you can find the video somewhere on my channel. I told myself I was gonna calm down come New Year to do more basic houses. But then, not only do I not enjoy doing basic houses as much, they also flop a lot on my channel. So it's like, okay, so I might as well keep up with what I'm doing. I like either doing multi-residentials or just doing very small lots, but very creative worlds. So maybe like a starter home, but the environment is really cool. Or doing community lots. I really love doing community lots. And then just doing multi-residentials, doing like just average houses, like the celebrity home that I did, and the Southern Saharan house. Like the Southern Saharan house I am happy with, because that is something I've always wanted to do. But the celebrity house, I was just remodeling one of my favorite Sims houses, and I decided to record as well. But it's not necessarily something I not wanted, because I'm really proud of it, but it's not necessarily something that's like is my pride and joy, the way that this build and the previous build and my London townhouses and my CYBERCITY has, even though my CYBERCITY might just remake it, because I was looking at it and I was like, I feel like I've developed this build. I feel like you can see progression between this build and my previous build, especially with this build. I think this is one of my better builds that I have done within The Sims in terms of detail. And I know some of you are going to be, wait, hold on. You do a lot of detail, because you guys do comment that a lot. And I love that. It's so sweet of you. But I feel like this one is one of my best when it comes to detail, for the sake of, not detail as in like, I thought about the ceilings. I sometimes forget about ceilings. I didn't forget about ceilings when I did the castle. I was really happy with the castle, but I did forget the ceilings. I do forget the ceilings a lot. I think I did the ceiling of the reception area within the luxury apartment, and then it was just, you know, I just left it as that. But this time I remembered to really immerse every single person who decides to use this lot. I will remember to do the ceilings, because there were no white ceilings in the medieval period. I forgot everything. I didn't do too much research. I did minimal research. I did just enough research, because again, I live in England. If you go to certain areas of England, you will see this exact village kind of just walking around. Obviously you won't see it with like maybe barrels and horses, some maybe horses, but you won't see it with like fires and stuff like that. But you will see these kind of structures because they're very prevalent. So, but you'll probably see, instead of like how I've done it, like open pubs and stuff like that, like I think one of them has an open pub. Instead of seeing that, you would just see like average shops underneath. So you'll see maybe like I'm trying to think of an average shop, but it's come out of my head. I think you'll see like a co-op or something at the bottom level, instead of like what I've done, where it's a bit more closed off. Like it looks like what I've done is more tried to center it around the actual medieval period, hence why my Sims are wearing medieval clothes. And if you wonder where my Sims medieval clothes are from, they're from the royalty mod. So it's a mod that's out where you can have royal families in your game. And this is part of my I never said, this is part of my supernatural save. So my supernatural save, I've discussed it before, it just holds a lot of my supernatural themed gameplay. Don't use it that often, but I do use it for the more creative aspects of my gameplay. So I did use it for the castle, because there was no way in any of my saves, like my baby save file or my celebrity save file, was that castle going to go in, because it wouldn't have fit. Not even in my British save file, because British castles don't look like that. They look like either ruins or they look like palaces. Like they look like how do they look? They look like manors. They either look like manors or they look like ruins. They don't look like how I made that castle to look like. So that wasn't going to go into that save file either. So I ended up just shoving it in the supernatural save file. And I think Henford or Bagley is such a pretty world. And I think the lighting is just great. I added with the G shade the way I just did it. It just looks so perfect for this. And originally I wasn't going to do this here, because I looked at the size of the lot. I was like, it's a 40x30. I did not want to do a 40x30, because that's a really, really big lot. I think I've done all of my neighborhood lots, like the sci-fi one, the Italian one. I actually really want to remake the Italian one as well, but the Italian one took a lot of mental effort, so I don't want to. But the sci-fi one, the Italian one, I think I used 30-20 or 30-30. I don't think I've used a 40-30, but I had to. That's why the buildings, the residentials within this lot are just so big on the inside. I don't think with this, I was trying to really like articulate medieval, and normally there's so many historical inaccuracies when it comes to this style, but one of the major historical inaccuracies is the fact that it's not entirely one room. To have multiple rooms the way that I have created them for this lot, you would have had to have a lot of money. And in this type of living situation, as you can see, all the houses are quite shoved together. That you would not have been a person with a lot of money to live in this type of situation. You would have been the working class back then. You would have been people who would have been just doing manual labor and stuff like that, which is what my Sims have. So they have bookshops, clothes shops, and carpenters and all of that stuff to do those kind of things. But the houses themselves are quite big, and I'm not angry about that, because one, they deserved comfort, because that still hasn't changed in contemporary period. But I'm not going to go into a classism debate, but it still hasn't changed. But Also back then, the whole Windows things, I think this period, it was just before the Windows tax period. So basically, if you had Windows, you had to pay tax for it. Hence why there was very minimal Windows in a lot of architecture within the UK back then. And what else am I missing? I don't know if this was just before. I could be off by like 200 years. And let's just start. As much as I love history, I am so off with the dates. It's one of the reasons why I don't pursue it as much as I would love to. Because I do love history, especially art history. Wait, no, actually, I do love. Is it art history yet? I like art history because it's just um, almost like screenshots of history. So every single piece of art within the particular period or form, it tells the story of history without actually having to individually analyze each piece of history. So, for example, if you look at pieces of art from the Renaissance period, it'll tell you how religion, science, and class was evolving within that period, and which kind of countries had the excess when it came to art culture, in order to really make that type of thing prevail. For example, I said the Renaissance period, but I can also, it's also another thing. I like film history because my main thing is media, film, everything. That's medium film. That's like my niche. I love all things like that. And the thing is about film history is that within German, I'm forgetting the period, but it was a period of silent cinema, and silent cinema really boosted, was really big within, I think it was German Expressionism, that's it. Within German Expressionism, if you look at the films within that period, it tells you the story of the history of Germany and really the world during that period. Germany had the finances to go and adventure out in the arts in that sense and be that creative and explore that world, something that a lot of countries couldn't do during that period. So it can tell you the economical growth of that country during that point. It can also tell you the culture of that country. They were very explorative when it came to the media. It's like you watch some of the films, some of them were really like not for this time, I won't lie to you. But a lot of other ones are just like, oh, I can imagine this being made now. And it really takes you into it's, I feel like with art history and film history and stuff like that, it takes you into the minds of people rather than what occurred around them. It's more like the internal output. So it's I'm trying so hard not to sound like one of those people that are just like talking a lot of words but not really saying anything. But it's really hard to think of my thoughts without going every single sentence, but I'm trying to minimize it. But it's like within art and within film and within even writing itself, it takes you into the internal thoughts of the people within that period. So, and then through the subliminal messages, they're not even conscious of that they're putting into the work. Can you really understand what they were going through and what was occurring during that time, compared to when you look at history overall, that you see multiple factors and you see different things that occurred in order to create the event, but you don't actually see the impact of the event or a summary of the event the same way you see when you read their work and stuff like that. I'm really struggling to find like precise examples, like precise like I want to say the Victorian man for the Renaissance period, but haven't studied it because I didn't do art history, so I can't really discuss too much about it. And within film, I'm trying to think of one that's not problematic, because most of the films I can think of at the top of my head are problematic, and I remember them for the sake of the problematicness. But yeah, yeah, is it? I think that is just so. Is it? Wait, what was I talking about? I completely forgot I was doing a video. This is why I do feel like sometimes I should just open a separate channel so I can just talk about film. But then I just realized, even though I have a degree that I have done modules within film, I forgot the names. Can you tell? It's quite late tonight. I have done modules within film, and I did D for my A-levels film studies. I still don't feel like I have an accurate enough understanding of film to create a film commentary channel, just because I feel like one thing I would always specify if I ever do create one is that it's going to be completely and utterly opinionated. I'm not here to say what is good or what is bad, because I think every single thing is subjective. Even the worst rated films, I think there's something about them, because at the end of the day, the worst rated films on like Rotten Tomatoes, Letterboxd, all of that, they still got fun, unless they were self-funded. And when I mean self-funded, I mean they were rich and they just decided to pour money into making the film. Someone took an interest in the work. Someone saw that and was like, I see potential in that. And I think if it gets to that point, it's not all bad of a film. And I think there's a lot of films that don't even get to that point. Me trying not to be salty about my lack of funding of my films, but I think there's a lot of films that don't even get to that point. That I'm like, I'm being I'm joking about my films, but I've seen a lot of other people who have really great ideas for their films, but they don't get funding for them. So honestly, I feel like there's really no bad films. There are films that are that are distasteful. I do think there are films that are distasteful. I think there are films that are controversial. I think there are films that are aged. I think there are films that are done right, inappropriate, but I don't think they are necessarily bad, especially films that take multiple bodies to create. When it's a film that is being done by a lot of, like, I'll say one of the films that I like, a lot of people don't like, is Tenet by Christopher Nolan. I really do like that film just because I like films that confuse me, but not confuse me in the way of you're confused and I'm confused. I mean, you understand, I don't understand, but I like the fact that you understand, and it feels like I'm talking. It's like when you're speaking to a really smart person and they're just talking to you. It's like, I just love that. I love what you're saying. I don't get it, but I love what you're saying. And that's what Tenet made me feel like. It just was like, and then when you do get something, you just feel so proud of yourself. So when I, spoilers for Tenet, like really quick, when there was that one point in the film where there was like the charm of the character that sacrifices himself for the other character. When I caught that on, or not even that, but when I saw the fight scene, before I saw the inverted fight scene, I was like, I knew that. And I felt really smart about that. Interstellar, I didn't feel smart about, but I still enjoyed it because I understand not knowing. And it's the same as most films like that. Like, I even felt that with, I forgot the film again. It is so bad that I keep forgetting all these films. Next time, I'm just gonna open up my letterbox and I'm gonna see what's going on there. But there was this other film with, and I forgot every single actor was. I think it was Kristen Dunst was one of them. It was about these women in university, and it was basically to talk about women in education and whether they should pursue what they want to, what society wants to, and all of these other things. And I was watching it and I was like, oh, this is so interesting. I don't get all of it, but I love that I don't get it. And what I do get, I enjoy it. And it felt really new. It came out in 2001. I'm going to say what the actors in the film have been part of, but I can't remember the name of the actual actors. So one of the actors within the film, and I know the film name, it's on my letterbox, but I can't think of it right now. So, but one of the actors is the actor who plays Snow White in Once Upon a Time, one of a show I really, really like, except for the last season. I'll pretend that doesn't exist. But I really, and it's not because of the actors or anything of the last season. It's just that I don't like it when shows completely remove like the foundations of itself, but keep certain aspects of itself within it. So for example, we'll go back to what I'm talking about, but with Once Upon a Time, the issue that lied with it for me is that if it was a spin-off, I would have liked it a little bit more because then I would have felt a little more satiated in that. And if it was a spin-off with just Henry and his new family and what's going on in that, I would have really liked it. I would have put cameos from different characters like the pirate and Regina and all of that. But to see them in completely different light to what I'm used to seeing, and not it being a gradual progression, but just being a quick change, I didn't like that. And I didn't like how it was basically redoing season one, but for a newer audience, like new town, new curse, new people forgetting. And I was just like, I get what you mean. And I really did love the feelings of that episode because it had one of my favorite actors that was in, she not, what was she in? She was in Rain? Yeah, she was in that. So I did like that, but it was like, you could have left it on the previous season or you could have made that into spin-off. Anyway, I digress. The person who plays Star White in Once Upon a Time is in it. Julia Roberts is in it. I think Christine Dunst is in it. The woman who is in 10 Things I Hate About You is in it, I think. And who else am I forgetting? Yeah, that's all I remember. I just know one thing about that film that I specifically remember. I did not like the romance trope in there. I feel like that film could have done with no romance, but you know what? They added it for some reason. And again, that doesn't necessarily make it a bad film. It's just an aspect of the film that I did not like. How did I get to this point? I was originally talking about historical accuracy, and then I somehow got into films. Yeah, that was really bad on my part. I really should have been concentrating, and the video's gonna finish soon, anyways. So anyway, I'm gonna just talk about this. I had a whole thing. I had a whole rule. I wanted to tell you guys about the rule, but anyway, the majority of the packs that I used for this video, for this last, sorry, was the Castle Estate kit. I used Horse Ranch. I used Cottage Living. I used Get Get Together, and I used Snow Escape. Yeah, I've used other aspects, but those are like the primal packs that I used to create this. So I think if you have those packs, they should operate quite fine. There'll be like a few things you might need to change over. Like I think the bookshelf maybe from like Strangerville or something, but majority of the packs. Watch when I go into the gallery and I just see like a long list of packs and it's like, how did I get here? Because I used to hate that before I got the money and started getting more packs. I used to hate that going on the gallery and seeing that a creator has just used a pack for one thing, but I can't find what the one thing is, so I downloaded it and then I find out it's like the entire thing. But yeah, I think that's the major packs that I've used. And the whole overall story for this is just a medieval town, a medieval village from the castle. So I think it's not part of the same neighborhood. Is it? No, it's not. It's a medieval village. The family I've moved in, I've changed the clothes, but I did download the family from the gallery. They are, if you see a family called if you type in medieval and then you go to a family that's called the Ambers, I deleted the infant because I didn't want to deal with an infant and I aged up the toddler. But yeah, that family is what I used for this. For the intro, I just rechanged like the hair and the clothes because I wanted them to have a certain vibe, and that's what I did. And yeah, there is within this lot, there is a carpenter. So if you see this like wood and stuff like that outside, there is a place where you get that wood and get it made into whatever you want it to be. There is a stable, there is a pub, and there is a shop for knickknacks, and then there is like a mini like chicken thing, and there's also a bookstore. And there is also accidentally made 7 residentials, but I wasn't gonna add a 7th using a cheat because my game is already very, very slow, so I was gonna do that. So yeah, there is 7 residentials. One I just locked off for everyone else, but yeah. All the other details would be in the description down below. And what else am I figuring? In my G shade, I just made the shadows darker. But yeah, that's it. Also, thank you for 2,050 subscribers. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. But if you don't want to, that's also okay. I appreciate you staying this long and listening to all of my ramblings. Also, don't forget to leave a comment down below. I read all of your comments, the more the merrier. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.